What's up, guys and girls? It has been a minute since I have put out a video. I know probably because it's been a minute since I've been on one of these pieces of equipment as far as an actual job. What you're about to see is kind of what we've been up to the past couple months. It's more or less going to be like a Logger Wade style video, kind of a voiceover. I really couldn't show a whole lot. I mean, some of you that do YouTube, you understand that a lot of what we show on even our equipment, we cut out so much. So I showed kind of as much as I felt like I really could and was comfortable showing, I guess. And I know some people may say, well, why are you doing that wrong, or blah blah blah. You know, y'all can say that nonsense, but I showed very little. I mean, like very little of what we've been up to the past couple months. And like I said, I'm gonna do the best I can with a voiceover and kind of explain what we've been doing. So I hope y'all enjoy it. I still haven't got to play on Big Girl here other than just riding around the farm. I did go down the hill a minute ago and I forgot a tree fell down there, and I ran smooth through the top of it because she don't have no brakes. And there they go, they see something. So I hope y'all enjoy this little video. I've got to clean up around here soon. The excavator's not here. It's actually sitting on the place where I've been working last little bit. We did a job with it. So I hope y'all enjoy this. Y'all stick around to the end. All right, guys, so what y'all are seeing here is I'm sitting in the top of a ram of a E2H350 Minster press. This plant stamped parts and did basically motion furniture, you know, the part that swings out on couches and chairs. That's my dad right there. He helped me a lot on this project. He's getting we're setting bushing. We already pressed out the old bushings and we're putting in the new bushings here. We got them in dry ice and I'm trying to make sure I've got them lined up here. And you'll see me struggle a little bit right here. I thought I had already messed up, and it done warmed up and got wedged in there, and I was trying to actually pull it back out because I've already learned my lesson on that. So we just decided to tap it a little bit, and y'all can see it just popped right on in there. And you got to be quick with this, so you've got to line up the lube points, make sure it's clocked right and all that stuff, and kind of hold it in place there as it warms up. Like I said, we already pressed out the old ones. I didn't video none of that. Put in the other side here. Filming? Yep. Yeah. That's how they're kind of supposed to go in. Make sure your gap is the same on both sides. We were rebuilding two of these presses, or replacing just the pins in this press because it hadn't been done in a long time before they got shipped out to a new plant. And here I'm taking my gauge and I'm measuring. I've already honed this one out. I'll show y'all honing it out in a minute. I take this gauge right here and it's anywhere from 3 to 5 thousandths over is your tolerance. So you have to be very careful, take your time with this. This tool right here makes this thing possible. I usually get around to 2 thousandths over what the pin diameter is, and I stop right there just to make sure I'm not over tolerance. And I check up and down, side to side, make sure it's not an oval. And this gauge right here is very accurate. I mean, 1 thousandths and it'll either go or no go. Just check it all the way through, make sure you don't have a cone shape through there. And I'll show, here I am, this is how we have to hone it. Take one of those big hones and just use a drill and some oil. I know some people's gonna say, why didn't you machine it out and blah blah blah, but you know, you do not know how much that bushing is going to shrink when you put it in there, so it's best just to do it by hand. Of course, this hone wasn't the best. I actually swapped to a new one not long after this. But you just put some fresh oil in there and hone it. You know, try to be even going in and out with it. Like I said, we did this on just this press. I'll show you later in the video, we did another press, but they wanted to fix these presses before they got dismantled and shipped to a place in Kentucky, that they was keeping these two presses. Everything else got sold in an auction. The plant manager just really wanted these presses to be no issues when they arrived at the other plant. So I've did this several times on these presses in here. This actually fixes a lot of pressure issues. What you're looking at is what they call a quick lift. If anybody's familiar with stamping presses, you just hone it out. I try to keep everything clean. I clean it every time that I basically do a pass on it. I put fresh oil in it, clean it out, try to get all that stuff to keep it from embedding itself in it. Try to get as accurate as a measurement each time as I can. That way I know, because if you go over, you're out of spec, and you got to push the bushing out and start over. And these bushings aren't cheap, but it's really not that hard. I mean, it may look intimidating at first, but you know, it's just big. It's just big and heavy, these presses. You know, it's just part of it. But I really enjoy doing this type of stuff. I've actually been doing this the past couple years in this plant when I'm not on a machine. Here I am checking my tolerance, seeing where I'm at. I think I have to take out about 12 to 13 thousandths to get it within spec. So it's a lot of honing. It takes about an hour and a half per bushing to get it within spec. Here I am. I'm just resetting my dial to make sure I haven't gone way over or way under, and I'm not getting off. Just check it all the way through. Make sure it goes all the way through, front to back, and I just check it 1/1000th at a time. See, it'll go in the back, but it wouldn't go in the front. So you'll see what I'll do. Make sure I'm correct, make sure I didn't get off. See, it won't go right there, but it will go in the center and in the back of the bushing. So I just take my hone and I hit it just a little bit on the front side, making sure not to go towards the center or out the back. I try to keep it as even as I can, that way I'm not lopsided once I get down to closer to final tolerance. So just hit it a little bit more on that front side, and that should square it up a little bit more. And like I said, do that for 30 seconds or so, and then wipe it all back out, clean it all back up, and recheck it. And while I'm doing this, the rest of my guys were in the plant tearing down stuff, and I'll show that in a minute. Now here we are, we got the bushing to spec, and we're about to put the pins back in, the wrist pins. These things are heavy. I'm telling y'all, I've thrown a lot of weights around in my life, a lot of dumbbells and stuff, and these right here are every bit. They've got to be pushing 150 pounds, if not more. I mean, they are salty. One of the guys helping me, he could barely pick them up. Ethan, you're going to have to eat your Wheaties, son. Here we are, just getting it started. The hardest thing is just getting them started in the first hole right there. We'll pull our boards out. Those boards make it a lot easier to get them started. And then we'll wipe it down, get everything clean. We try to keep it as clean as we can. I mean, it's hard keeping things clean inside these presses because they are nasty. It's an open press.
On your elbow.
It's amazing they run as good as they do in the environment they're in. Use some lightweight oil. Usually use the same kind of oil that's in the press. Get her all lubed up. We've already checked our bushings to make sure they're lined up with these holes. That's you have to be very careful with that, because when you slide this in, it'll catch the lip on that bushing. You'll see me, it's barely hitting the bushing. You just pull back, give it a little bit of oomph, and you'll feel it go in that bushing.
That was a little rusty.
Alright, so what I usually do on these is, if we can drive that pin in with a dead blow hammer, as long as we hit it a few times and we know we can drive it in by hand, I'll go ahead and get the porta power and use it to push it in. It may seem like, well, we're just forcing it, but we're really not. I mean, you can feel it if it's in a bind or if it's going pretty easily. You just we just take our time with it and make sure that we're not actually forcing it, because what'll happen is when we cycle it, those bushings will get real hot and they'll heat up and galled up, and you don't want that. But that's going in very easily. We could drive it in by hand, but it's a workout, because I try to set them pretty tight. That way we get longer life out of them and our pressure stays good. We have to adjust our stroke on our porta power. Now the next press we do, we'll actually pull this whole assembly out and rebuild it. That'll be coming up in the video. We actually pull both quick lifts out, reseal them. We don't do bushings in that press because I just did them a year ago and they're still fine. As y'all can see, we're about to put our keeper in. We'll get it close and then we check our alignment, because stuff does have to be lined up. There's our keeper. It keeps the pin from twisting, or it makes the pin spin with the see, if I can bump that thing over and make it spin just with that little bit of pressure, we're good. Make sure we're lined up there. We put our bolt in, and that's pretty much the wrist pin removal, install, and honing out. I wish I'd have filmed it removing the old ones. We just use a 30-ton jack to press them out. I mean, they are tight. And this right here, these are all the stuff we've been doing out in the plant. What you just seen there is the actual parts bin. They got these assembly lines. Basically, they had 6 of these assembly lines shaped like a horseshoe. We just tore everything out of the ceiling, got everything cut loose and staged up ready for the auction. Of course, every bit of that down through there looked like what I'm about to show you, what an assembly line looks like. Like you can see, it's just in a horseshoe. All the stuff overhead, the fans, power rail, big ass fans. That's what the work area looks like while it's still together. We had the plasma cut all that loose, separate all that out, unhook all the air, all the power drops, the main feed, the main air line, all the rivet machines, take them out, get them on the pallets. There's the work-o-matics, that's what they're called. There was hundreds of those in there. There's all the rivet machines we got staged up on pallets. There's all the big ass fans. I think we took down 16 of those out of the ceiling. I can't remember many of those shaper fans right there. Took down conduit. all the main power feeding all these lines. They wanted all that stuff out of the ceiling and pulled back basically to the main breakers. A lot of work. At one time I think I had 10 guys in there working for me. Here's the press, cycling it, testing it out, checking temperatures. You can't even hear the thing cycling really. Happy with that one. And here's the other press, basically the same style of press, and we're going to remove the whole ram. We built this platform here, come up with this idea to roll this platform out on rollers and on the big I-beams. Welded it all together, that way it was rolled out. Used all that wood for dunnage up under it just in case something happened, but I mean this thing didn't flex at all. This kind of makes it doable unless if you can't get a forklift in there to pick this ram up and set it down. I saved them some money on not having to rent a forklift and all that rigmarole. But y'all see us, we just take our rollers and keep moving them around as they get freed up. And I'm on the back side with a forklift just pushing it. It actually came out very easily. You just have very small tolerances to get this thing out of the in between the posts. Here I am just talking with the maintenance supervisor, just double checking stuff, making sure everything's going smooth. We took our time with it, make sure we didn't screw nothing up. Just looking over in it to make sure everything's coming out fine and we haven't missed anything. Here she comes. And y'all see in a minute kind of why we're having to do this, why we're having to pull the ram out. They say that ram's around 20,000 pounds. I don't think it's quite that heavy. I think it's around maybe 16 to 18,000. There's old Jimbo. Y'all can see him in the left-hand corner there. He was my right-hand man on this ordeal. I brought him out of retirement on this one. But this is the quick lift. We actually pulled that whole assembly out. We pulled both of them out, but we put new seals in that whole assembly there.
Yeah, go ahead.
And y'all see in a minute. We're standing in the scissor lift.
All right, sit down, Jimmy. He's good. There's one down.
We got it flipped over, and that's the piston. We got it pulled out of the bottom. Everything has got to come apart from the bottom. We found all kind of stuff in this thing.
Paper towel?
I don't see how it was holding pressure.
What is that? Paper towel? Silicone. Paper towel. And that was in there, wasn't it? Yeah.
This is the shut height assembly. That's actually what sets your shut height, what they call shut height. It sets your stroke basically. It runs that piston up and down and holds it in a certain position. We rebuilt that, checked the bearings, put new seals in that end. This is actually the first time I went this deep in one, so I was taking my time and really getting familiar with everything. I think it basically took us 2 days to get this one apart and serviced and put back together. It took a half a day on the next one. Here we are pulling the shut height assembly. It's just a pinion and gears, all it is. I can see the seals there. They are absolutely gone. Said I don't know how this thing was holding pressure at all.
It was time.
Just taking my time inspecting every little thing. Make sure there's no major damage or everything laid out and cleaned up and getting ready for new seals. We had to hone this one out on the inside there. You got some pretty bad scarring. I didn't want to put that in there. I didn't want to put it in a new seals with bad scarring on it.
Alright, watch it. It's gonna come down with it. Bump it right there. Do it on this side. Bump it. Just bump it.
You have to be careful to make sure your seals and stuff don't roll. We've seen that a couple times on wiper seals. Biggest thing is just make witness marks, take measurements before you start taking this stuff apart. That way everything's even when you go back together with it.
Good on it.
So this is the piston. That right here is actually what raises the die up and down without the press stroking up and down. It's just in case you ever get in a bind and you got to raise that ram up and can't. You can put pressure. You can put hydraulic fluid on this and raise it up to get your die out of a bind.
So the next
It's just a big piston is all it
we pull
is.
that out, all we got to do is pull it straight up instead of loosening like we did last time.
The seals weren't too bad on this one. Not as bad as the ones you just seen. Make sure everything's lubed up and clean. I don't like wearing gloves doing this because gloves can contaminate stuff and carry around debris. Make sure our seals wasn't rolled and twisted.
The next one we ain't gonna have to twist, we can just pull it straight up.
Yeah. That's gonna go about good since we kind of know.
I try to be meticulous about this type of stuff.
Come on.
Hey.
It'll come over my way more.
All this does is just drop back down in there and put the cap back on it.
Alright, come on in. You're good left and right.
Telling them to make sure we orientate our bleed hole, I guess that's what it's actually, you can check pressure, making sure it was orientated right. All right, here it is going back in. Got it all back together, and I wish I'd have showed taking those super nuts off that hold this thing down. That stuff right there is pretty meticulous. The way you got to take them apart and then torque them back down. There's Jimbo. All right, and this is the second one we pulled out. We noticed that this one got banged on something, or something hit it, and we don't have a clue what would have hit that inside that press. We noticed before we took it out, usually those wiper seals are really bad. When I was talking to the plant manager and the maintenance supervisor, and he said that had to have been done when they installed the press, because this one's never been taken apart. Got it fixed up. Made sure a wiper seal was going to stay in there. Here we are, got everything pulled back in, everything connected back, putting the gibs back on. That's what's, and we did everything from concrete on this job. There's our, when they took that press out, we filled the pit in, rebar and concrete. We did concrete, we did drywall. Y'all can see drywall. We fixed holes in the break rooms where people had punched holes in the wall. We did that. And I even got to bring my excavator. I did get on a machine on this job. They those hoppers there, somebody told them, so someone told them that they could, on those hoppers, that they could haul, or the people that picked those hoppers up, I think it's Columbia or Columbus Scrap or somebody like that here in Mississippi, told them that they can haul 80,000 pounds. Well, the whoever was loading the hoppers was scrap. Literally put 80,000 pounds in there because they would weigh their scrap parts and then go dump them in there. That way they knew how much scrap they was supposed to get. So the guy come back to pick those scrap hoppers up and couldn't even budge it off the ground. So I had to take my excavator up there and just scoop parts up and put it in the other hopper. No big deal. But I did get on a machine while up there. But man, we did so much. I thought I had filmed a little bit more than what I did actually out in the plant. Y'all could see all those things that was tore apart and stacked up. I mean, we did just so much cutting and plasma cutting, and we even built some tables for the engineers for when they go to their new plant. You know, we did, it was everything. There was so much work in there, and like I said, at one time I had 10 guys in there working for me. And I got to give a shout out to Jimmy. I brought Jimmy out of retirement. It was a lot for me to kind of oversee and really, I guess, manage. So that's why I brought in Jimmy, because he's had way more years of experience than I'll probably ever have as far as managing people. So it was really good for me, and it was hard for me too to kind of step back and let other people do the work, I guess, because like you seen on the the press rebuilding, that type of stuff. I'm very peculiar about that stuff, and that's just kind of how I am on that type of stuff. Even with land clearing, or what y'all really know me from, I'm peculiar about the way I do things. It may not be the way you do it, or the way your grandpa did it, or the way your dad has did it, but when I see something, I've got it all planned out, and that's how I want it done. And it's hard for me to step back and let someone else do it. But anyway, I just thought I would share this with y'all. If y'all have made it this far, I appreciate you sticking around. This has nothing to do with land clearing and dirt work. But like I've said before, land clearing and dirt work isn't the only part of my business, and it just kind of comes and goes, whether it's my main thing I've got going on or it's not. Like I said, the past couple months, the land clearing and dirt work, I've been better off just to park my machines in the backyard and let them sit back there while I go take care of this other stuff, because I have to do what pays the bills, and a lot of times the maintenance stuff is what pays the bills. And I hope to kind of grow the Millwright type stuff. Millwright covers so much. If you don't know what a millwright is, just Google it and it will tell you kind of what a millwright is. It is a long list of stuff, and it's very hard to abbreviate kind of what we did and what we're capable of, really. But I enjoy that stuff. I said before a long time ago, I'm way better at a maintenance tech, or whatever you want to call it, than I am at land clearing and dirt work. Land clearing and dirt work is that's my passion, or that's my hobby, more or less, but it just turned into, making a living at it too. But anyway, I know I'm sitting here rambling, and that's all this video has been, but now I get the joy of basically rebuilding my dirt work and land clearing side of the business. It has really fallen off because doing all this other stuff has allowed me to get out of the little piddly jobs, I guess, that's really not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. And I've learned that the hard way. A lot of these jobs I shouldn't even have taken. But when you're first starting out in this stuff, or starting a business, you feel like you need to take every job and you've got to get every job. And I've learned that that's just not the best thing to do, and I've had to learn that on my own, I guess. But doing all this other stuff has allowed me to kind of step back and say, hey, I'm going to pass on this job, or you know what, I know what I'm worth, this is what I'll do it for. But I have had a lot of calls here lately, and I've got to go look at some jobs. So we'll see. I'm excited to get in that dump truck finally. I just really haven't had, I know I said I was going to build my own lake on my own place. I just haven't had time. I've been run ragged, and we had just finished up. Today is July the 6th, I think. And we just finished up with that plant last week or the week before. I can't remember. And we may have to go back. There's a lot more work left to be done in there. But they just had the auction, so they're kind of just seeing where everything is right now. But now I have expanded into doing like more electrical jobs, because some of the guys that work for me, they did electrical stuff before, and they said, hey, we want to keep working for you, find us stuff to do. And I said, okay, well, if y'all want to do this, we'll start doing more electrical jobs. We wired up a shop week before last. And then we're working on a pretty cool project right now, wiring up some stuff, or outdoor area. So I'm trying to build more as far as the millwright stuff, maybe some more electrical jobs. I'm trying to expand into keeping employees doing other things while either I'm on a machine, or I'm trying to do more, I guess you could say. I'm more comfortable now having people working for me, and it's still a huge adjustment for me to kind of step back and let people do their thing. and not micromanage, because I hate to be micromanaged, and I try not to do that. I feel like if I'm micromanaging someone, then I don't need to be there. So anyway, I know I have rambled a lot, and if anybody is still around, I appreciate y'all. I'm going to try my best to get out more videos. I have not quit YouTube. I have just been run ragged, and I've been doing all this other stuff. So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the ones that have called and checked on me, ones that have texted me, asking me, hey man, where you at? You know, you still around? I have not quit YouTube. So anyway, I appreciate y'all. Y'all keep your eyes open. I'll see you later.